Hi, I'm Kat, I play Sims, and I built this Valentine's themed house in the world that came in Lovestruck in The Sims. I was trying to match it to the surrounding buildings, so it's basically a big rectangular box. I used a roof piece from Businesses and Hobbies that matched some of the others because it doesn't seem like this one is actually in Lovestruck to use. And I used a Wedding Stories stucco on the top and a Get Famous marble on the roof as well. I used Wedding Stories for the fence and the gate, and I used all Lovestruck for the doors and the windows on the outside of the house. I went into this build with pure intentions to make like a Valentine's Day build, but what actually ended up happening was probably the single most disturbing and distressing thing I've ever built in this game, and you'll see why when I get to the floor plan of the upstairs. But for now I'm just putting on a ton of windows to fill in wall space that'll probably get moved later, and I decided to make the building a little bit smaller because I wasn't sure I could fill all that space. I had to move the windows that I'd displaced and get rid of some fences that were on the roof, but otherwise I was done with the outside shape, so I did the inside floor plan. This is only a 1-bedroom house, but I did end up putting in 2 bathrooms. I used the stairs from Lovestruck, and I decided to put in a little room on the roof to match some of the others, and I just painted that with the same stucco as the outside of the other layers. I relied pretty heavily on Lovestruck and Wedding Stories and then a load of custom content in this one so that I could get the theme I wanted, but honestly it went pretty much downhill after I went upstairs to start doing this bit. I put in the usual lights just so I could see what I was doing, and then for the bedroom I wanted something moodier that I could change the colour of, so I used this Lovestruck hanging lamp, and I put in Businesses and Hobbies floors just about everywhere. The floor tile in one of the bathrooms was Lovestruck, but I used Riviera Retreat for the other one, and I continued that outside for a pool area. I put in a purple tree from Lovestruck and added the City Living lights that are like little lotuses. And then I gave it the Riviera Retreat ladder for the pool and an Adventure Awaits diving board as well. I decided the pool needed to be bigger, so I extended the whole area out, and then I quickly nipped into Manage Worlds to get rid of that annoying pink outline that was on the building. When I got back in, I decided to add this steam grate to the pool, which heats the water, and I decided to go on to a little bit more of my landscaping, so I added more of those Lovestruck trees in the purples and pinks. I decided to fill some wall space at the side with hedges, but placed one over the back door and never actually realised I'd done it, so that's blocked for the rest of the build now. I started adding pink flowers in all of the gaps and the bare looking patches, so I've got the hydrangeas, I got some wildflowers, and I just turned every pink swatch of every flower that I could find to fill in as many areas with the pink flowers as I could, so it wasn't quite so plain. I did put quite a few overhanging the patio, which probably isn't the most realistic with the way I've got some of them sitting. I filled in the gaps underneath the trees so that they weren't quite so stark against the ground, and I added these little pink hedges at the front as well, and I just put a few more bushes around them to fill in as much space as I humanly could on the front. I never put anything on the other side of the house, and I didn't intend to. And then I started trying to find places for woohoo spots, so I've got the pea bush in the front and I've got one of the Lovestruck blankets at the back, which I do move. I wanted to make way for the Adventure Awaits in-ground hot tub, which is technically another one, and then I had to shift some of the flowers and trees in that area just so they weren't sitting directly on the tile. I used Riviera Retreat for a couple of little sun loungers, and I added a Lovestruck table next to them as well with a drinks tray on top of it, just to complete the little pool area and make it a bit more full. I added a for rent mailbox out of the front because it was small and plain, and then I added the eco lifestyle dumpster, which your Sims can also use as a woohoo spot. After this, I moved inside and I started doing the wallpapers, so I used a really vibrant custom content brick texture, and then I put in the Lovestruck rose wall in the other one and Riviera Retreat to match one bathroom and Lovestruck to match the other, which was terrifyingly bright. It all goes downhill from here because I put in the big dresser that the Sims can jump into, and I gave that a little extra wall beside it just to hem it in. I added a neon light to the wall and then changed the lighting of the entire room to be a really vibrant pink colour. I decided the next room to tackle was the bathroom, and I used an enormous custom content tub that I've got that takes up most of the room. I put in the tiny living toilet and the sleek bathroom sink, and then I decided for some reason that the back wall of the bathroom needed to be all mirrors, so I layered them on top of each other so that there was no join, and I put a custom content mirror above the sink as well. I put a few custom artwork pieces up in there as well. I changed the light colour to be kind of like the bedroom, although a little bit more muted, and then I didn't even clutter the room because I'd disturbed myself so badly with those mirrors and the whole vibe of the place. I decorated the little hallway outside, so I just put a Valentine's Day picture and a neon sign above it. I added a little bit of custom artwork next to that of a plant as well, and a plant in the corner. And then I found some flower boxes that I wanted to go on the front and added a couple of wall lights from Lovestruck. I went into the bedroom and I knew exactly which bed I was using in here. It's the Lovestruck heart bed from the old games. I put up the wall of mirrors behind that as well because apparently I've got no shame. And then I decided to add the curtains from Lovestruck on one of the windows and a beaded curtain on the other one from the same pack. I wanted a fireplace. Nothing actually quite matched the vibe I had in mind, but I did use one from Adventure Awaits. And then I put in the little Lips love seat as well from Lovestruck, and a custom content rug that's like fluffy and pink. I grabbed a custom table for beside the bed. I did put the comfy gamer book on it, and we all know in this house most likely the sim is reading smut. And I put a Lovestruck plant on there as well, although things were not behaving the way I wanted them to, and I'm still not entirely sure why, so the plant did disappear. I put up an artwork from the base game that's a pride piece, and I stuck a greenhouse kit lamp in the corner, which I literally never use because it's huge. I put some more artwork and a Riviera Retreat plant out in the hallway, and then I decided I was done with that space upstairs, so I went downstairs to do the bathroom. The downstairs is entirely less distressing than upstairs, so for the bathroom I decided to do a custom shower. I used the Lovestruck shower door, and I realised there wasn't actually a door in the bathroom, so I used a really bright movie hangout one for that. I used the Lovestruck shower on the wall, and then I decided I wanted counters for the sink, so I used a base game one that's normally a really horrible colour, but it does have a nice plain swatch. I wrapped those around the corner, so I did have to move the shower door slightly, and then I put a base game sink in a horrible pink colour and a Lovestruck mirror above the sink. I just put a few bits of clutter in and moved the door slightly so that I could put the toilet in that corner. I used a good amount of clutter in here, unlike upstairs, so I've got the toilet roll, the soaps, towels, and a little razor on the counter, as well as some bath salts and things. This bathroom is a lot more busy despite being much less horrifying than the one upstairs, which was nice. I put in some candles and I decided I needed to move things around on the corner bench, so I shuffled it out of the way and had a difficult time moving things where I wanted them, but I got them there in the end. The game can be really awkward about alt placing on counters for some reason. I put down the rug from Sleep Bathroom Kit and I decided to put a Lovestruck plant on the wall above the toilet. And once I was done in there, I decided to move out into the entryway, so I put up another custom bit of artwork. I shuffled the windows along so that they weren't touching the wall, and I put a really bright movie hangout table in, as well as the pride item with the hanging coat and keys. I put up a little custom heart item above it, and I put out the post from Grange Mudroom and the phone and keys from Everyday Clutter, as well as a custom plant and a little photo frame as well. I put up the businesses and hobbies plant on the wall next to the door, and then I wanted an office space, so I actually decided to section off this whole area. I gave it another archway instead of a full door, and I did have to scoot the front door along a little bit to make it fit, but I just continued the wall texture down there that I had everywhere else. I used the Grange Mudroom mirror out in the entryway, and then I put in a little doormat, which was just the rug from upstairs but sized down. For now, I put a Wedding Stories bouquet and then a City Living vase in the front room just to make it a little bit more full, and I moved on to the office space. I tried putting the Lovestruck desk with the pastel pop chair, but when I went to put the Comfy Gamer computer on this desk, it sort of hung off in a weird way. It clipped oddly, it didn't fit right, so I had to change the desk to the one from the Comfy Gamer kit, which I thought looked nicer anyway, but it didn't quite match the aesthetic. And then I put in the pastel pop bookcase as well and a little cozy kitsch chair. I used the Modern Looks rug in here that takes up quite a lot of room, and then some custom content art, which is a lot gentler than everything from upstairs. I put in the high school years beaded curtain and shuffled everything out of the way of it, and then I was ready to move on to the kitchen. There's a fridge in the kitchen clutter kit that I used for this one. I decided to have the appliances white, and I used the Dream Home Decorator counters in a really neutral colour. I made a little attached island, but I did decide against it later. For now, I put Love Struck chairs up against it, and I added a bathroom clutter sink and the candy machine from Businesses and Hobbies, as well as the blender from Adventure Awaits. I gave them a dishwasher, and then I added a few plain white upper cabinets from the Dream Home Decorator pack as well. You can see the hedge outside through the door blocking it, but I never actually noticed, so that's there the entire time. I put the Comfy Gamer bottle out on the bench, and then I put a custom content bread box and some glasses. I put a couple other bits of kitchen clutter in, and then I saw the coat racks, so I put that instead of the bouquet. I put in another really bright movie hangout table for the dining table, and then just some bright chairs. I put a custom content frame TV up there and the paranormal plant that I use a lot, and then I put that same rug down as a doormat as well. I put in a movie hangout sofa down here in a slightly less obnoxious colour than the other stuff. I scooted that and the archway around so that it wasn't blocked as much, and then I used the greenhouse kit for a hanging plant, and I decided to use the rewards event flashing dance floor in the corner, as well as a little Love Struck guitar, a decor to the max table with an artistic pad on it, and then a big piece of custom content art and a Party Essentials speaker. I tried a couple of ways of putting a bar in here. I moved the dining table and then put it back. I finally settled on the white Party Essentials one, and I decided to replace the island pieces with it. It's quite plain and it fits in really well, and then I added the little card game from Love Struck, and I decided to put the costume trunk upstairs in the bedroom as well. I had a last little bit of space I wanted to fill, so I put in a yoga mat, and then I decided to add a rug to the corner, which was from Backyard Stuff in a really nice blue and pink shade. I added another rug to the kitchen from Love Struck, and I just sized that down a little bit with Tool Mod to fit. And then I put in a mirror from Businesses and Hobbies that's backlit just for something slightly different on the walls. I went back and put some extra custom artwork out in the entryway just to fill a little bit of wall space, and then I remembered that I needed to do my ceiling tile. So I quickly painted everything except for the downstairs bathroom, which would not cooperate for some reason. And then I decided to go up and do the roof space. I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do with this originally because it was quite small. I did put another Love Struck rug up here, but it was the bare one in a kind of pink colour, and I decided to put a treadmill at the top of the stairs as well, just so that I had some exercise. I put in this bubble blower thing from City Living that I never get to use. I added a fire pit from Riviera Retreat and some Love Struck benches around it as well. And then I decided to put the meditation stool up here as well as the yoga mat downstairs. The ceiling pin up here wasn't cooperating either, so I decided quickly to go out and put a little number plate on the front. I went back inside and decided to make that shower a half wall instead because it made the space lighter. And then for this room I decided the sim was a painter. Obviously there would be painting nudes, I don't make the rules, it's just that kind of house. I used the bulk of the artist studio kit in here, and I put some paint splatters on the floor. I decided the models would probably get quite cold in here, so I put in a fireplace from Decor to the Max, and I decided to put in that little seat from Love Struck again. I added a little table with a bust on it and a neon light to the wall. I did shuffle everything around so the fire was on a better wall, and I changed the colour of the lighting in here as well to match elsewhere upstairs. And with this skill building room done, I was effectively finished with the build, so enjoy the screenshots. please consider a like and subscribe.